Hey guys, Tactical Oyster here, bringing you guys episode number 2 of 3 Bar Exploits along with WakMed19.
What's up?
And today we have our guest Bonfire.
How's it going?
So I guess before we get into things, Bonfire, do you want to kind of talk about what you do over at your channel so the people here can get to know you a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So my channel is called Game Site, and it's a channel I've been running for I think about 4 months now. And pretty much what I like to focus on is I do game reviews, first impressions, as well as some gameplays, some commentaries, a little bit of Black Ops. So I try to spice my channel up a little bit, and my commentaries are strictly on like news and things that are going on currently in the gaming industry, because that's kind of what I like to focus on. So definitely check it out. There will be a link down below in the description, and sub if you're new.
Alright, there we go. So, first topic Xbox One thoughts and impressions and ideas and whatever you're musing about. Go ahead. Somebody.
Go ahead. Y'all know where I stand. I'm going to be on the other side of the fence. So build your case before I go swing my
Okay,
baseball
I'll,
bat.
Bonfire,
I'll
you
go
can
ahead and
take
go
it.
off. Well, after watching the reveal and everything, I wasn't surprised at all because I knew they were going to head towards the entertainment route and come out swinging with that and really appeal to a larger market. But I'm still excited for it. The Xbox 360 currently is my main console, and after seeing what the new Xbox can do, I am excited. But what I'm mostly excited and what I took away from the reveal was that they're going to come out with a lot of exclusives. Now, whether that's straight up Connect exclusives, I don't know. That's remained to be unseen. But there is a focus on games, and what I think that's what E3 is going to be all about. It's going to be all about the games, and I really think they're going to steal the show with that because the PlayStation and Sony haven't unveiled their console. They haven't talked about some of the applications that they can do. So I think that's what they're going to be focusing on when us gamers, all we want to know about is the games. So and that's what Sony will be, or Microsoft, excuse me, will be focusing on. And I think that's why they're going to steal the show. So, initially I'm excited. I haven't yet decided though, which one I'm going to get, but I'm leaning towards Microsoft and the Xbox right now.
Whackman, I'll let you go ahead and go, and then I'll respond to you.
Well, I think that the Xbox One reveal was really good. I think that they showcased the game console, which was the one thing that I was most worried about, them not doing that. And I think that would have been a huge fail on their part. But I, I saw them say the same thing that I saw Sony say. And it was almost to the effect of that's what they said. Okay, we'll say the same thing, and that's about it. And our main point that we can keep in our back pocket is that we have Call of Duty, which is the biggest game in the entire
Right.
world. And that was like, I'm only going to give you a teaser, and I'm trying to understand. This is actually the first announcement they've made, and so everything, all the speculation, we all saw it coming, and I think we overhyped it to an extent.
Right.
But they also didn't provide. All they said was we're going to match Sony. That's my opinion. They didn't. I mean, they said much more, but it's kind of like all they said was we're going to match what Sony's going to do, and we're going to be able to entertain you in your living room, and we're going to provide all of these services. And I really wanted more of the. This is a game console. Show
Mm-hmm.
me something about games, and they didn't do that.
Well, that's the biggest complaint people have had is they say, okay, I can watch TV on my TV. Why do I need a gaming console to do that for me? Why can't you just worry about games? I think we can agree though that the Xbox One, from what we've seen so far, completely blows the PS4 away as far as non-gaming related features. At least I would say.
I agree.
So if they come out at E3 and they put on a great show from a gaming standpoint, and they show a lot of good games and a lot of new gaming features, then they've just vaulted themselves way ahead. Because if they can, all they have to do is match Sony as far as gaming features. If they can match Sony on gaming, like even, and then they've got so much more outside of gaming, then they've pretty much just won. And I think people are getting kind of people saying that the Xbox One sucks for gaming. Well, we don't know what they're going to do for gaming yet. We haven't, just because they didn't focus on gaming in the reveal doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to have lots of good gaming stuff, which I think people are kind of losing sight of at this point.
Yeah.
But I think it looks good, personally.
Yeah, well, one of the things you have to consider too is each of the conferences, they might have said something very similar, but their target audience is so different because Sony comes out swinging, hey, we're gamers, for gamers, by gamers. This is what we're doing. Microsoft did something completely different, aiming towards a larger, broader audience with some of their entertainment aspects and it being an all-in-one device. So you kind of have to consider that as well, that there's two different markets. So a lot of people, I mean, some of the analysts in the industry are saying that this isn't even a console battle. It's essentially going to be a battle for the living room.
Right.
So
I think the PS4 may win with hardcore gamers, but whatever the Xbox loses in hardcore gamers, they'll gain 2 of each in regular people, I think, looking
yeah,
for, like, not necessarily gaming as much, but just an entertainment system of some kind. That's what I
yeah.
think. I think
No,
they're
I think
gonna
that's a good point.
succeed.
I think that this is gonna be. I think that the Xbox is, or the Xbox One is going to have its largest place for a parent to buy their 17 or 18-year-old kid, or for an 18 or 19-year-old person to go out and purchase so that they can have it while they're away at college. They wouldn't have to have cable so much as they just have to have internet, and it's going to offer a lot of things. That's just not what I was going for. And I guess what you're saying is true with Sony's kind of limiting themselves to only advertising to gamers. I want my Xbox One to do this. Don't get me wrong. I want it to have all the best graphics, which apparently it doesn't have the. I don't know, something about the graphics card's not as good or something like that. But
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't think it's really going to matter. They're both going to be really powerful machines for what they're going to do. I am going to play Netflix, maybe Skype, but I'm going to play games on this thing. That's my primary concern, and I spend a ton of money on it. And that's what I want to know about. It's not what I was educated on a couple of days ago. And here in just under 2 weeks when this goes live, we'll see what the media briefing for E3 has to say. And I'm actually looking forward to. I guess that's the best way for me to say it. Is I'm not so much that I'm hugely disappointed in the reveal, so much as that I'm looking forward to actually getting the information I want at E3.
Yeah. The opening sales war will be won or lost at E3. That's for sure. But you guys want to talk about kind of, I guess, like other specific stuff, like the whole used games kind of argument, the always online that's not really always online, the Kinect is always on, that kind of stuff. Any thoughts on those things?
Sure. I mean, I just posted a video kind of about some of these rumors and some initial thoughts, but regarding the used games, I mean, what we're kind of seeing, and this is all kind of rumored around, is that when you buy a game, it gets installed to your account, and that it's tied to that account. So if you were to let your friend borrow the game, he has to essentially pay a fee for that game. Now, what that fee is, and if it's basically him buying the game, is yet to be told. But with the whole used game and what Microsoft is potentially doing here, and kind of going towards the whole digital distribution, I can see why why this is such a hot topic within the gaming industry and a lot of gamers themselves. But I think we have to also look at what PC gaming has done. I'm not a big PC gamer, but if you look at Steam, you got Origin. I'm sure there's a few others out there that you're buying a game, it's tied to the account, it's all brand new, you can't resell it, you're not in any of that stuff. It's all the digital distribution, and you're buying the games brand new. Sure, it's discounted prices, but
they're trying to copy Steam, basically.
Yeah, and I think initially there's going to be a lot of pushback, but I think in the long run, that's where gaming's going, and that's why it will be successful. So I think as gamers, we kind of have to take a step back and kind of see where that's going. Even though myself, I'm an old school gamer, I like to get the physical games. I like to keep that in my collection and all that. But
you've had a computer crash, haven't you?
Oh, sure. Who hasn't? And
yeah, that's the biggest fear that I've got.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, actually.
Yeah, if you lose your computer or it's stolen or it crashes or lightning decides that you are the next best target, uh, you have to rely on cloud backup.
I do not
And
trust the
you know,
cloud. Holy crap, I'm scared. Like
right.
seriously.
That's the other side of it is you have to depend on their customer service. You look at them and say, "Hey, look, I have $400 worth of games that I've purchased from you. I need to re-download them because lightning struck my computer, whatever." And they go, "Well, do you have your receipt?" No, I deleted that thing a long time ago. Well, we also don't have any record of you, Mr. John Doe. You're gonna have to re-buy or do without all those. It's a concern. It's a fear that I
Yeah.
have as an old school gamer, like you were saying. It
Yeah.
may not be factual, and there may not be any basis for that whatsoever. But that is a fear that you have to allay for me as a consumer.
I never
Hmm.
thought about that actually. Well, as far as used games, I think I personally don't really buy used games that much. Mostly because I don't play a lot of games. I have a lot of games. I don't play a lot of games. But so that's not really a thing for me. But as far as the whole like going to your friend's house and playing it or loaning it to your friend to let them try it out before they buy it, I think it's gonna like if it's like a $5 fee maybe or something like that, then is it inconvenient? Yes, but is it like a horrible, terrible thing? No. But if they try to make you pay retail price to play, because I heard a rumor of that too, like is it going to be $5 or is it going to be $80 or whatever the price ends up being of games? Then that's going to be not good at all for Microsoft because that's really going to put people off. And they did say in an announcement that they were working on keeping the how do they word it? Keeping the used and resell or the resellability of games, like keeping it viable as an option, which would lead you to believe that they're not going to make you pay $60 retail to play a game that's already been downloaded. But who knows? But you kind of just have to wait and see. I'm hoping they give more info on that at E3 as well, maybe, but I doubt it.
You think
Yeah.
it's going to be $60?
I don't know. I'm just saying I've heard both. I've heard people say it could be $60 to play it on a different account, or it could be $5 to play it on a different account. I think if they did something like pay $5 for like a week to play it on a second account, because then you know that you're like loaning it to someone, or something like that, maybe. But I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, well, one of the things I also read was that Microsoft is kind of working, is at least trying to work with, game retailers that take in used games. So GameStop obviously comes to mind. And what they want it to do is when you trade in that game, it gets, Microsoft gets notified, and then it gets, removed from the owner's account that originally had it. And then the game retailer can resell it at whatever price they see fit. But what happens is when that game is resold, Microsoft as well as the publisher gets a cut. So it's going to cut into used game retailers' profits.
Yeah.
So what that'll do to the price, I don't know. What I like about that though is if that is true, that publishers get some of the cut
That's good.
those used game sales because
Let me hold you off right there before you go any further. Have you
Sure.
seen the stocks for GameStop? Their publicly traded stock.
Yeah, I heard I saw some stuff. Some
I haven't
fluctuation.
seen it, but I know what happened.
70%. Oh, it's like what was it, up around like $40 a share or something? Now it's like at 11.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are really really rough numbers, but
I saw a similar thing though that they said that so basically like what you do when you download the game is you get a license for the game, and basically what people will be paying for if they got a used game was this license like we were talking about. But I saw somewhere that they were thinking about doing something where basically like I buy the game, right, and I install it on my Xbox and I have the license for that specific game. But if I want to, I can sell my license back to Microsoft for be it Microsoft points or money or whatever. That license is now open up again, not tied to my account. So then if I traded in the game and they resold it, it's kind of like just buying the game again like normal. That's just a rumor I saw. I don't know if there's any validity to it, but that's something I heard as well, similar to that.
Yeah, I think that'd kind of be cool. But again, I'm sure GameStop's freaking out a little bit. Kind of cutting their profits, but
GameStop is right there with Nintendo, which I know we were going to talk about later. That's fine, but GameStop this is the way it works, and it goes back to a conversation we were having earlier of uh, oh, come on. That is cerebral flatulation. uh, of Steam, the online, the PC,
Yes.
those guys. That has all been done like that. GameStop gets nothing from them.
Right.
They don't. They're out of that market altogether. If you move Microsoft and Sony, then you might as well rename it the Nintendo Store
Might
because
as well rename it the Out of Business Store.
that's really what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Oh, one
Well,
last.
and
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of the things that I know I've heard GameStop is trying to do is going towards the digital distribution because they know that's the future and they know that's the only way they're gonna stay in business because used games are getting phased out, and it's all going to eBay and Amazon,
Right.
for those
From
like
from a
PlayStation 2
business
games.
from a business market perspective, I understand this move. Why should Microsoft and Sony share all this money with GameStop when they can own the most major portion of it?
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's smart. You can't knock them for it.
Another concern I have about the new Xbox is the whole Connect always on. Basically, I don't know, you guys probably knew this already, but basically your Connect has to be on for your Xbox to be on, but your Connect is also always on. Like, even if your Xbox is off, your Connect is on. So, I'm sure you guys have heard, I have two things really about it. One, the security concern, like, oh my god, if my Connect's in my living room, then that means that 24 hours a day, my Connect is seeing what's happening in my living room, and Microsoft can see it, and what if it gets hacked, like a webcam on a computer could get hacked, and now people can see in my house, and all that stuff. I thought, what if, like, okay, WakMed, you have younger children, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
what if your kids are, playing in the house and one of them bumps into your, whatever your Kinect's sitting on, your Kinect falls over and breaks. If your Kinect breaks, you have no Xbox.
I didn't think
What if that
about that.
happens? Because I saw that somewhere on, I think, Twitter yesterday, and I never even thought about that. Like, I'm not really sold on this whole Kinect always on idea from those two standpoints.
I bet the conspiracy theorists have hired a whole sweatshop in China to make little shrouds to go over the Connect so that you can't see somebody sitting naked in front of their Xbox playing, Call of Duty or whatever. There's a
That's
whole
so funny.
sweatshop devoted to making sure that you can preserve your privacy. And you know where my Connect lives? It's actually behind my monitor somewhere. I can't even see it. It's still plugged in, but I don't know. I
But
think
now
it's
it's got to
plugged.
be front and center because you're going to have to use it,
Does it have
presumably.
to be that?
Well,
Does it have to be that? I mean, does it
that's a
have to
good
see me
point.
or just hear me?
That's a good point. But for most people, it's probably going to be front and center at least.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw a YouTube video. I didn't actually watch the video. I saw that the thumbnail said something like 1982. It's a book that you like mandated to read in high school around here about Big
Yeah.
Brother watching over your shoulder and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
they
that
were
that's a fear I kind of have is, are they going to be watching me all the time? And I understand that, part of it's for quote unquote, marketing research. And we want to cater all our advertising towards you and all that crap, which, that's a different topic. But yeah, I
I
don't like it,
I don't see
whatsoever.
one more tie to the 1982 is they actually used the TVs to watch the people, and there's a huge similarity to that tie, because the TV is what watched the people, and so there's that tie. But the other thing is nobody's gonna sit there now. If they want to look in on you, they may have the ability. I don't see why they wouldn't have the ability.
Yeah.
Um, but if you think about it, there are, I think, nine. I don't have any idea how many Xboxes were sold. Anybody know that off the top of their head?
I don't, to be honest.
No, not off the
But
top of my
just
Double
head.
digit
just
millions,
Oh yeah.
at
just
least.
going. Oh, absolutely. But just going off of the numbers for Call of Duty alone, which is something that I am a little more familiar with, in that 9 million units were sold. That means there are at least 9 million Xboxes out there. That means there's going to be footage from 9 million Xboxes to sift through.
Hmm.
Nobody cares. I mean, if you care so much about what my facial expressions are whenever I get dogs or die by dogs, then you need a life, dude. Come watch me. Maybe I can teach you something in my inadvertent gameplay.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
who's
possibility,
gonna?
though, of it happening, like, you never know. Like, maybe they're just like randomly, you never know. Maybe they're not watching you all the time, but they could randomly just happen to switch over. Oh, this is Xbox number 9,847. Why don't we just go ahead and switch over and see what they're doing? And then now they're looking inside your house. Like, the possibility of it being there is more concerning, even if practically it's not really going to be that big of an issue. But also, back to the thing about hackers, like, people can hack into webcams all the time. Like, if you have a webcam on your laptop, like, people can easily get into those by getting a virus on your computer, and then they can basically see through your webcam. Well, what's going to stop people from doing the same exact thing with Kinect?
Yeah, well, and think about this. I was just thinking about this as you guys were talking. Is let's say you submit a bad review or report someone for boosting or whatnot. Microsoft can then pop over to their Kinect and see what they're doing. Essentially.
Oh, how awesome would that be?
Oh,
I'm just thinking that would be so cool. You're sitting there and you're gaming or whatever, and your Kinect looks at you and says, "Good morning, Tactical Oyster. How are you? We have concerns that you are boosting."
Oh my god, whatever.
And then your Xbox just shuts off.
I want to see if I can yell Xbox off in the middle of a Call of Duty lobby and see how many people lag out of the game because their Xbox turned off. I'm so excited to try that.
Oh man,
Troll.
that would be like the ultimate troll.
That would be the worst thing ever because you could just see everybody's win-loss would be .01 because everybody would be getting basically hit off constantly if that was possible. Oh my goodness.
Man,
it would be good if you could like cover up your microphone, and for that one loser who is playing his Call of Duty through the Kinect where everything feeds back so loud,
Yeah.
that guy, he's definitely getting shut
Yeah,
off.
he's done. See ya. Or that split screener who's going 0-24 on your team, and you're just like, I don't really need you here anymore, so I'm gonna go send you on your way, and just yell Xbox off. That would be fun.
That would be great.
And I'm sure you're going to see videos like you saw with Siri, like the Siri arguments and stuff like that. You're going to see those. That actually would be a fun little parody video series to do. What kind of weirdness can you get out of your Kinect?
That would be interesting.
That would be funny. I'd watch that.
Well, anybody got anything else on the Xbox One, or are you ready to switch topics?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Alright, so what were we going to roll into next? You guys can choose off our list.
Twitter versus Facebook.
Alright, here we go.
Okay.
And I bring this up, and I'm going to quote a gamer, but a YouTuber, but I'm not going to identify him. And he says that Twitter is the other half of YouTube.
It's Woody.
Is that
Woody.
accurate?
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Is that accurate? Especially from a guy who claims to only follow T-Mart's mom. I mean,
that's true. I've looked at his following, and that is actually factual.
He needs to follow us.
Yeah, I mean, what the heck, dude? We're all big in the gaming community. We need to be followed by the big people. Sure. But I don't know. I mean, I use Twitter mostly. I don't use Twitter for personal reasons. I use Twitter solely to promote my YouTube channel and interact with other YouTubers and gamers. And I'm really into the whole competitive scene, so I follow lots of competitive players, so I get like updates on when they're streaming or who's playing in what tournaments, what days and stuff like that. And I also follow lots of YouTubers, but I mainly use it as a way to interact with other YouTubers and gamers that I don't know personally. Because like Facebook I use for personal interaction, and I think I prefer Facebook over Twitter because you can have more like legitimate, like you're not limited to 140 characters. Like you can have more in-depth discussions with people and things like that, and it's better for personal use, I think. And I think I'm in the minority on that, at least with most people that I know. But Twitter is more of kind of a quick, just like, updates on what's going on in the gaming community. For me, that's really what I use it for.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I have my own personal Twitter, but I think I've only got
Go
like
ahead,
5
Bonfire,
followers.
and plug your channel Twitter.
Oh, well, my channel Twitter is @GameSite. Nice and easy for you guys. And that's my primary Twitter. And like you were saying, Oyster, that you pretty much use it to interact with YouTubers, gamers, and promote your channel. Same here, and piggybacking off you're saying, is Twitter the other half of YouTube? I think so, and because they can link together. So when you post a video or you comment or like someone's video, it automatically gets posted on your Twitter account.
Right.
For some reason, it doesn't work with Facebook. I don't know why. And I just think the way Twitter is set up, it's really set up to use it as such, as a promoter, as a way to a window into someone's world. And with Facebook, that is more personal because it's got more information on there. There's more photos, and it's just all of that, I feel like. But for me, if I were to pick between Twitter and Facebook, I'd have to say I would pick Twitter because I can choose who I follow. I can choose the information I want to see. As with Facebook, I feel like now it's just turned into a bunch of internet memes and people who go on political rants. At least that's what's in my my news feed lately, and it just gets old after a while.
Yeah, political stuff sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't need to hear it.
I'll do my own research. I don't need your hate mail or personal outlook opinion of somebody else's news or whatever. But also, to go ahead and plug mine. Mine is at WakMed19, and I tweet out usually just stuff at other people. I put out when my videos go live. If I think something's interesting, I did when Sony was doing, I think it was when Sony was doing their reveal, I did some tweeting, and the biggest one I did was the Call of Duty Championships. I got very immersed in that, and I was really enjoying watching other people teach me how to play by destroying other people. And that was something that I felt like if you were following me, then you may be interested in knowing these things as well. And so I wanted to put those out. The limitation I actually find is a benefit because it cuts all the BS out, or whatever, excuse me there, but it cuts all of the nonsense out so that you only put out the message you want to put out.
Of course, well, yeah, but I like the limitation as far as tweets. I wish that direct messages did not have a limitation because I don't really see the need for them in direct messages. Like Bonfire, you'll know, like when we were going back and forth scheduling, like trying to get you to come on the show,
yeah,
it was rare for it to take less than 2 direct messages to get like each message across. Like, it took more than 140 characters for us to respond to each other back and forth.
Yeah.
Whereas with Facebook, you can put as much as you want. Although there's a lot of crap on Facebook now, and I think Twitter's done one thing right, which is they haven't changed. Like they've stuck with the same layout this whole time, and they're not changing and modifying, which Facebook's done a lot of, and YouTube's now doing. And I think people like that as well because you're not really just changing everything that they already know to make it quote unquote better when people don't really want it.
Yeah, for me, the biggest benefit, and this may sound silly or strange or whatever, the biggest benefit is that there are no games, and I don't have to get 600. Will you play Dazzle Quest or Magic Marbles or
come
whatever.
Visit my farm?
Yeah, come visit my farm. Oh
farm.
my goodness, I could care less about your farm. I really could. I like you as a person. That's why you're even in my Facebook account. But you can keep your farm to yourself.
Yeah. And one thing I was just thinking about too is Twitter is I think a lot more business friendly because, for example, I mean when you set up your Twitter for your YouTube channel, it's essentially a business type Twitter account, and you can do the same with Facebook, which I also have a Facebook. It's just under Game Site, and
Nice plug.
thank you. And when you have the Facebook one, it's all about getting likes on that, and you don't really have a news feed, and I feel like you're really limited on what you can do on the Facebook one as far as like socializing with people and getting your name out there on Facebook. It's a lot easier to do on Twitter just by following someone, plugging them in, and with Facebook just doesn't have that.
Right, and like Twitter, you can go back and forth with big YouTubers. You can get retweeted. More people can see it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten in arguments with like the girlfriends of competitive players before about their like you can't do that on Facebook. Like you can't get into like conversation with people who are way, I don't want to use the term above you, but like more known than you. Like you can't use a Facebook page to talk to another Facebook page. Whereas with
Yeah.
Twitter, you can pretty much, if you get lucky, you can get a response from anybody.
Yeah,
True.
and Twitter is all about being viral because, like you said, retweeting. I mean, say I post something, you guys both retweet it, a couple of your followers retweet it, it just went viral.
Right.
Facebook, you can't do that.
Right. Facebook,
True.
people share things on Facebook much less than people retweet things on Twitter.
Yeah, because they're talking about politics and posting internet memes.
Right.
And putting up pictures of anything.
Uh,
That's the advantage for some people to Facebook is that they have picture albums up there so that you can keep up with them. And you know what? My wife does that. She keeps the whole family that are spread out around the country. They get to see all kinds of cool stuff that we do, and she puts the pictures up there, and they've got access to that. They can see them in their own time, and it's not as boring as sitting down with a picture album every time you finally get together.
Right.
But and that's an advantage for Facebook. It's got its place, but
well,
Twitter does as well.
yeah, well, I was gonna say that's why Facebook bought Instagram.
Right.
For all the photos and the photo sharing, and because Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an Instagram, but it's all about photos.
Yeah, I don't use Instagram, but tons of my friends at school use Instagram. Like my school, like okay, 2 years ago, this is just from my own little slice of the world, but 2 years ago it was all about Facebook. Now it's all about Twitter and Instagram together. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of migrated over to split Facebook into two. If you want your photos, you get Instagram. If you want your interaction with people, you get a Twitter.
And you don't have any forms.
Right.
Well, kind of all this may be before you, but MySpace, that was huge. Then you went to Facebook. Yeah, I had to bring up the MySpace.
Awesome. You can even put your music up there.
That was before
Yeah.
my time.
Yeah, and actually, because I used to write and produce my own music in college, and that was a great outlet for me. And I think for the music scene, MySpace is that. And each one's got their own market niche, and I think Twitter's is YouTube.
WakMed, you mentioned in the chat down here, are you concerned about growing your Twitter account? I'm not personally. I'll just say that because I have I have like 100 and somewhere around 120 followers. It fluctuates day to day, but most of my followers, like I'd say at max, only like 30 of those are people who are subscribed to me and actually involved in my YouTube channel. The others are people that I've played competitively with, or people who I've tweeted with about competitive. Like most of my followers are related to competitive COD people, and most of them aren't necessarily watching my YouTube channel. So for that reason, like if I gain 5 followers today, like I feel like it probably doesn't help my YouTube channel all that much. So I'm not really concerned with growing my Twitter account. But that's me personally. I don't know about you guys.
Because yeah, as far as my Twitter account, I don't think I'm that concerned, with growing it and having a ton of followers and all that, because when I tweet something on this particular account, I'm carefully choosing my words and making sure I'm presented how I want to be presented. I mean, you kind of get into the public relations part of it, but
Oh yeah.
look at all the athletes and stuff who get in trouble for tweeting something or calling somebody out. Maybe an NBA player gets fined for it. So I
Right.
think you have to take it as a concern because your Twitter account represents you, but you just have to make sure that you're in complete control of it and you only post things that you want to be representative of you.
Yeah, I've got 5 magical followers.
I'm one of them, and I'm
Yeah.
have of it.
I'm about to be one, so you're gonna get to 6.
All right, I got this 6. If I could double that by the next week, I find my success as, and this may sound really weird or conceited. I really don't mean it that way, but there is me, and my name is Trey. Trey is this way, but WakMed, the entertainer, the guy who tries to make everybody happy, that persona, that theater specification of me, he wants to be successful in everything. He wants all his, I want to have 1 million views. I want to have 1 million followers. I want Aaron Andrews to ask me what I think of the next football game coming up, or I want, the president to be concerned over what my thoughts are on politics.
I agree
That kind of,
1000%.
I want that kind of notoriety as my persona. Now, me personally, the me that goes fishing with the kids and stuff, I could care less whether 100 million people know that I had a flat tire or I bought worms from this guy to go fishing with or whatever. But the entertainer in me, I want to be able to entertain as many people as best I can.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
you're not gonna turn like if you say, "Oh, I'm gonna offer you 1,000 Twitter followers overnight," it's not like you're gonna say no. But at the same time, it's like I don't really care that much. Although I'd like to have lots of followers, it's not something I'm concerned with. And if you offered me 30 YouTube followers, or sorry, 30 Twitter followers compared to 5 YouTube subscribers, I'd take the 5 YouTube subscribers. But that's just me.
I don't. Either way, you're getting your message to them. In Twitter, it's a much more brief message, and in YouTube, you have the ability to make that message whatever you want it to be. So there's a trade-off there, and I think that your equation is pretty spot on. 6 to 1. Okay, I'll
Yep.
take that. That's not outlandish.
Right.
Yeah. The only reason I would take the follower, the subs over the followers is if they're going to be active subs, because
Well,
you see
yeah.
a lot of YouTube channels out there that have X amount of subs, but they only have a very small fraction for video views, which just shows they don't have very active subs. And I would rather have views and active subs. Quality over quantity, I guess, is what I'm getting to.
Yeah. Well, with the assumption that those 5 subs would be active, I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would totally take the subs.
Also, following YouTube drama is great on Twitter. That's just fantastic. There's something just about every day. There's some kind of drama that you can get kind of enveloped in for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you guys want to move on now? We're about
Yeah.
37 minutes ish. So
Yeah.
Nintendo and their
Nintendo.
their continued downfall and appeal to 4-year-olds and 4-year-olds only, more or less.
So another shameless plug. GameSite has a really good Bonfire has a really good video with some World at War gameplay
Best
on
COD
his
ever,
channel.
by the way.
Yes, I agree.
I never played it, but it looked kind of
Oh.
cool when he was doing it.
You missed out, buddy.
Fantastic.
He's got a really good video on this point on Nintendo, and we had a little interaction there in the comments. I see he's right, and Nintendo is making a bad move, and I'll let him expound on that in a minute. But my contention is that Nintendo is a sinking ship altogether. They're still playing off the exploits and success of Mario and Zelda and maybe a couple of other games, but their success now is based solely off of what they did in 1985 through 87.
Quick note before we move forward, just for those of you who don't know, background information, Nintendo is basically any Let's Plays or any footage of anything, pretty much most videos on YouTube related to Nintendo published games. Not necessarily games played on a Nintendo console, but games where Nintendo is the actual publisher of the game. Any of those videos that are monetized, Nintendo is now getting the profits from the ads on those videos, just as background, so you guys can go ahead. No.
Well, and what they're doing is they're going to place an ad either at the beginning or the end, or maybe even just a pop-up during the video, and the revenue from that ad is going straight to Nintendo instead of the YouTuber. So they're potentially taking money. Again, I'm not really monetized, but they're taking money away from YouTubers, and this is a very pressing and hot topic. In my video, I talk about it, so go check it out. But
On fire with those plugs.
getting pretty good at it. But the way I see it is Nintendo does have every right to do so because, as YouTubers, we are using copyrighted material. But the other side of the coin is that the gameplay, when you play a game, it's different for every single person that plays it. And so then that's completely different for music and movies. So if you guys watch a movie, for example, let's say the new Star Trek, if you see it and then I've seen it, it's the same thing. Or if you listen to a song, it's the same thing every time. But when you play a game, it's different because how you play the game, your play style, and your commentation over it is going to be different for every single person. And I think that's what makes it unique, and that's why this is an issue, because I just feel like it's not an issue of copyright, and it shouldn't be, because those experiences are just so different every time someone hops onto a game. And it's unfortunate to see that Nintendo doing this, and some may argue that it's, like WakMed was saying, is that it's because financially they're sinking. They need the money. That's why they're doing this. I can see that point. I think they just saw a business opportunity and wanted to capitalize on it, whether they need the money or not. But with I lost my train of thought. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Well, I see that you've also got, yeah. What you've also got is Microsoft is doing something similar, in that they're trying to get another piece of the market, and I think that may be the only similarity there, and that they're trying to get a bigger slice of the stuff that you buy to play Xbox with. They've changed the there's a possibility that your headset won't work with the new Xbox controller. I'm not fully convinced of that yet. I think there may be, like a $5 something you have to buy to put in the middle, or what. There's possibilities of things that you can get so that you can make what you have now work. But they're trying to get a bigger piece of that pie. That's a fact. That's for sure. And what you have here with Nintendo is that they're also trying to get a bigger piece of that pie. I think that the way that they're choosing to do that is silly.
Yeah, well, you look at, people are bringing up a good point in that, obviously, YouTube videos are free advertising. Like, say what you want, Call of Duty would not be nearly as popular as it is without the YouTube community around Call of Duty. And that applies to pretty much every single game that has a significant amount of YouTube following or creators. But when it comes to Let's Plays, because let's be honest, the kinds of games that Nintendo publishes, most of them are going to be Let's Play kind of games over, like, a day-to-day, like Call of Duty, it can be a day-to-day commentary game. Like, I can just hop on, get a gameplay, and I can talk about whatever. But there aren't necessarily Nintendo games that you're going to do outside of a Let's Play as much, if that makes sense. So, going with that theme, you look at how much, like, the free advertising isn't as much, because, and you look at the games, like you were talking about, WakMed, that lots of Nintendo's popular games are not necessarily in their prime right now. Most of them aren't, actually. So if someone does, a Let's Play of a game on the GameCube from 2000, how much is that really going to help the sales of that game if it's an old game? Like, the whole free advertising, I don't think is as much of a factor for a company like Nintendo, because, let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of Wii bowling commentators out there. So it's
I gotta do a Wii bowling video now.
Yeah, it's not like,
absolutely.
It's not as much, the free advertising isn't as helpful for, a company that most of the games would be Let's Plays, as opposed to something that's day-to-day like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Halo, things like that.
Yeah, I just realized kind of where I was going with when I lost my train of thought, was that you're right. The videos are their free advertising, so why would Nintendo intrude on that? Because if they're going to be taking some people's profits, potentially people aren't going to be posting these Nintendo Let's Plays. And with the Let's Plays and the free advertising, what I think they should handle this differently. What I think they should do is offer partnerships to big Let's Players of Nintendo games, to where they can split the revenue more appropriately. Kind of how you can partner. I know on YouTube you can partner with other people and things like that. But why don't game publishers do that? Specifically for the games that they publish. If they're going to be enforcing copyright,
that is an avenue that would now be opened, I guess. But still, and also, like WakMed was saying about the whole, they're screwed now. Basically, like, Nintendo's done. If they were confident that they were still going to be a viable competitor to Sony and Microsoft, which we all know that they're not at this point, then why would they do this? Like, because the only thing that this really does for them is it makes them a little extra cash, but it makes them a little less popular. If you wanted to be one of the top console or gaming publishers or whatever you want to do and compete with Sony and Microsoft, why would you sacrifice a little bit of money for a little less popularity unless you knew that you were on the way down already?
Everything's controlled by money. You got a really good point.
Yeah, no, that is a good point, and I think as an older gamer, I'm sure WakMed can attest to this. Is that I mean, they had a huge success with the Wii. I mean, no one can argue that it was one of the best selling consoles ever, and but they've really been banking on nostalgia, and that you got the Zeldas, the Marios. I mean, these were the games, back in the day in the late '80s, early '90s, especially with the Super Nintendo, which is one of my favorite consoles because there was just so many.
I've got hours in those games for sure.
Yeah, and you know that's how we see Nintendo is those wonderful memories, that some of the first introductions into gaming, and they've kind of just banked on that over the years, and
Right.
it is catching up to them because Sony and Microsoft are doing other things that are appealing to broader markets, and it would just
Yeah.
it's sad to see them potentially go. I don't think they're going to go anywhere anytime soon, but as the years go and this next generation is upon us, that
Right.
could change.
I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead.
their market is still a younger gamer. Your 5-year-old to your I don't know, like 12, 13-year-old. Those parents want fully safe games for their kids to play. The games that they don't worry about the shooting or what's in the news about first person shooters or stuff like that. And you can get let me rephrase that. You can get a vast majority of safe games for your kids on the Wii, I guess now the Wii U, and you can feel good about them being up, moving around, bowling, playing tennis or ping pong, or I'm sorry, ping pong or whatever. And Nintendo has its place, but those parents buy a game a year, or 2 or 3 games a year.
Right.
You get one for Christmas, you get one up for your birthday, you may get another one for summer vacation or whatever. Those parents don't spend, or those consumers don't spend tons of money. Whereas, in Call of Duty alone, I've got, probably $300 or $400 per game release. And those consumers for Nintendo aren't spending $400 a year.
Right.
And I've got it in one game.
Right. And you look at, like, you guys were talking about the nostalgia and everything. Like, the first console I ever played on was my friend across the street had a Nintendo 64. And we would play, like, random Mario games and stuff like that. Like, God knows how many Mario games there are, but any variety of the Mario games. And then the first game, like, it's not really a console, I guess, but the first gaming thing I ever got was I got a Game Boy Advance for Christmas when I was 5. And then my first console was a GameCube. So, like, I started with Nintendo. And I think if Nintendo had gone the conventional console route, they would be better off than they are. They took the leap of faith with the Wii, and they put all of their technology, all their research, all of their money into trying to move gaming to this new, what do you want to call it? Like motion sensor, whatever you want to call it, with the whole nunchuck and the remote and non-conventional gaming. When they made that leap of faith to that, and then they continued it with the Wii U, they buried themselves because it just didn't catch on as much as it looked like it might have.
Yeah.
The question go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, when you talk about Nintendo making that leap of faith with the Wii, well, let's look at why they made that leap of faith. Because you had the GameCube, which a lot of people say is the last great Nintendo console because it was comparative to the original Xbox as well as the PlayStation 2. It was very competitive, but the Xbox and PlayStation 2 started to go head to head as they kind of just took the lead. So Nintendo had to do something to, get their name out there and, make a name for themselves, essentially, for lack of a better term. So that's why they went the Wii route, was to, get away from that head-to-head battle between Sony and Microsoft and stand out. So, a la Wii.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think that the Kinect and the Sony Move would exist without the Wii and the technology that the movement of the Wii has brought to a forefront?
It depends. Like, the question for that is really, do you think that these other companies already had an idea of doing this before Nintendo did? Because if if Nintendo, like, if nobody else, like, had even considered this thought, like, if this was a completely new, brand new concept, and none of the other companies thought about this, when Nintendo said, hey, we're making a motion-based console, then I'd say the Sony Move definitely wouldn't, because the Sony Move, to me, looks like a complete rip-off, like, almost to the T of the Wii.
Absolutely.
Whereas the Kinect is a little bit, not quite the same, but similar concept. But if these other companies were already exploring the idea of motion-based gaming while the Wii was, coming out, then I think they would anyways. But it depends. Do you think that these companies already had an idea of this when Nintendo made the Wii? That's really the
I th-
question.
I think Microsoft, yes, because I think they were already working on something like the Kinect. Because I think their vision with the Kinect was not only to have, I guess, the motion gaming, but more so to control your TV and entertainment, which we saw in the Xbox One, to be able to maneuver, speak into it, in hands-free controlling of your electronics. I think that's their overall big goal with the Kinect. So I think the Kinect still would have existed. We probably would see less Kinect games, but they did that again, in response to the Wii. Sony, no, I don't think it would have existed without the Wii,
I
because
think you're going to
like you
see
said, like what I was
something
gonna
that
say,
you just.
like you said that the Wii is sorry, the
Go ahead.
Wii or the Move is a copy of the Wii, and I agree with that completely.
I think that you're going to see a big push from Xbox One to go exactly where you were just alluding to, or actually just saying, in that you can sit down in front of your television and say Xbox on, and if it's integrated far enough, it will turn on the TV as well. And then you look at it and say Netflix or cable channel 397, or Netflix play Game of Thrones, and you never have to touch a remote. And for a lot of people who sit around with three different remote, one for the surround sound, and one for the TV, and one for the this that the Blu-ray player or whatever, for a lot of people that's going to be a huge attraction, and that you just say Xbox, turn everything on and play Game of Thrones, and it within 45 seconds you're watching the latest episode.
Right. And for someone like me who loses their TV remote at least twice a week, it's also appealing in that fashion as well. But back to the Nintendo thing, Nintendo, like, here's the problem with Nintendo. Anybody, like, we're all, I mean, well, you guys are obviously older than me, but we're all not, like, young children, obviously. So we're going to spend more money. Like, a 7-year-old cannot spend as much money on gaming, or that person's parents are less likely to spend money on gaming than teenagers and adults. So the fact that when I think of Nintendo now, and when I think of the Wii and the Wii U, I think of, two 7-year-olds, using their nunchuck to sword fight each other. Whereas you think of, an Xbox or a PlayStation as being kind of, Call of Duty or Battlefield or sports games, like more mature games that older people play. I mean, it's exactly what you said, Whackman, when you said, the they may have, different target audiences, but one of those target audiences can spend much more money than the other one, and one of those target audience is going to have much more hardcore gamers than the other one, which is where Nintendo kind of screwed up because they didn't. Well, I mean, you could say they screwed up from a business standpoint, but they just didn't target the right people to be successful in the long term.
I don't think that they cornered the market well enough to have been as successful as they were hoping. Whenever the Connect and the Move came out, it took so much away. Look, you can play bowling, but you can also play Call of Duty online in a competitive environment. So, what do you have with a Wii? You have only one, and in a different console, you have a variety.
Well, with the Wii, they had a lack of internet, and when it came out, the whole online thing was still kind of pretty new. I mean, you had Xbox Live, but it wasn't as prominent as it is today. And so the Wii, since it lacked the internet, I mean, that I think that's why it doesn't have wasn't able to reach that market with the hardcore gamers, the first person shooters, because of that lack of internet connection and competitiveness that you find online. They're trying to do that with the Wii U, but they shot themselves in the foot because now they're behind the ball with the online aspect because they just now came out with it, whereas Xbox and Sony have now had it, especially the Xbox, for 10 plus years.
Right. But with non-competitive games, it's not as big of an issue. But like, so you're saying the Wii didn't have online capabilities? I mean, because I never tried doing anything online with the Wii. I don't know.
Well, they had the online store, and I know you could. There were some games where you could play with other, Wii owners.
Yeah.
But you had to use like some special code that's like on the Wii. You didn't have like an easy identifiable gamer tag.
Right. It's not.
So their whole online infrastructure just was not on par as with others.
Right. It just wasn't.
I'll tell you something that I do have, though, is that I've got the Wii, the original Wii, and I will never get rid of it because I've got Zelda on it. I've got Mario Brothers 3, and, I've got a couple of other games that I remember playing and that really started my gaming experience, and I want to keep those games for posterity reasons. So I'm not going to get rid of it because I'm tired of blowing into an 8-bit cartridge.
Right.
And even though I still have my old Nintendo, it's better on the Wii. It just is. Plus, the Wii is going to have the capability to connect to a TV for probably forever, and it's just a way for me to save those old school games and play them.
Last question before we wrap it up. Does Nintendo release another console after the Wii U? Yes or no?
Absolutely, they do. I think that it's going to be remarkably different than what the Wii and the Wii U are. It probably will have a different name, and it will probably what I see them trying to do is get back in with competitive gaming on some kind of level, or changing their focus all around.
Yeah, I think they will release another console. It might not be like a desktop type console though, because we forgot to talk about the handheld market. Because
true.
the Nintendo 3DS. I mean, I have one of those. It's amazing. It's great. It's fun. You can play a ton of games. It brings back that nostalgia, and it's got a lot of good games to play on the go. So I think they should potentially try to capitalize on that and roll with that, because that's a very strong market share that they own. Will they be able to get into competitive gaming? I don't know at this point, because like I was saying earlier, they're so far behind on the internet and some of those things that I don't know if they can catch up now to what Sony and Microsoft are doing.
Yeah, only thing they could do if they want to stay in it is go back to either a conventional console, really, if they want to actually get back with the big boys. But I'd buy an up-to-date Game Boy if they release another Game Boy. But I think that's about all we've got, so we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay, so that's 3-Bar Exploits Episode 2. Jazz wasn't here. Hopefully he'll be back next week. He had some prior commitments and couldn't make it. We want to go ahead and thank Bonfire with Game Site, a YouTube channel, Game Site, and go check out his content. Follow us on Twitter and check out our channels. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks.